Hey guys, and welcome back to more lies and intentional misinformation to fill for ads. Or at least that's apparently what we do. I've got a pretty weird video for you today. Drama content is not the type of channel we want to be. Obviously, farming drama is something you can be successful on YouTube with, but it's not for us. So just skip this video if you're not interested in any reference to PoE drama of any kind. Unfortunately, we feel forced to talk about it because we've had a pretty negative video reference us as part of it. So we just want the fair chance to respond and acknowledge what was said, rather than let misinformation it spawned be spread around us, ironically. I also sound a bit off today, sorry about that. I am recovering from a cold, so I hope it's not too annoying. So what we do here is myself, Aaron, there's Josh and Zach. We play games, we cover them, we make videos. This is a YouTube channel that we've been working on for over a decade, and it comes from the fact that we just play games together, we really like them, we make videos. Over the last few years, we've had a lot of success in the fact that we'd work together to create informative content based on our own experience. That experience always comes from prior to launch research, a lot of discussion, and a lot of grind and in-game experience when we actually get to play. The games we pick to do this for are exclusively games we're very interested or very passionate about. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to give all the time that we do. The thing is, for PoE 2, we knew going in there was going to be some issues, based on some weirdness that popped up before it actually launched. I'd played PoE 1 casually, I knew it was a very special game, I thought PoE 2 was going to be good. When I was new to PoE 1 and making videos about that, the community that was watching and helping, there was just really positive vibes, like great information, answering the bajillion questions I had. But much later in the lead up to PoE 2, I had a very different experience. For some reason, there was now a much bigger gatekeeping vibe, even from other creators. We knew that a lot of people were going to be trying PoE for the first time with PoE 2. So our goal for covering PoE 2 is very simple. Play the game a lot, learn a lot, and then try to make videos that talk about that new player experience. Information that's going to be specifically useful for other new players. Which means our videos are not trying to be for the ultra endgame grinders of the game. So probably not like super PoE 1 experts. So that brings me to the reason we're actually talking about this. We expected the people who are rude or even gatekeepy to continue to dislike us. There's not much you can do about that. But now we have this whole video that we're part of an overall subject of that's claiming we're spreading terrible information you shouldn't listen to. So we're going to talk about that, and specifically what was said and what we disagree with. But right before we do that, I think it's really important to say this. We do not want or need you or anyone to attack the creator we're about to talk about. We are not looking to spread like negative comments or any form of harassment. It doesn't matter what they said about us or anything we've made. It doesn't matter at all. We are making this video to respond to the issue, so please do not attack this other creator. It's probably just a misunderstanding. Maybe this video will clear it up. If not, it doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about it again. So, this video was uploaded by DS Lily, a creator in the Path of Exile space. DS Lily describes a few creators they've got different issues with, and so they have criticisms for us as well, which is fine. But there was a lot of extreme things that seemed very based on bad faith more than anything that I want to talk about. So let's start with the first topic. Creating videos for the pure purpose of length and ad revenue at the expense of new players. So right off the bat, every video I've made about my progression of my mercenary, so the different build videos about that journey, I've been cutting down into the topics and things that I feel don't get to the point fast enough on. So on average, if I uploaded those videos flat out, they'd be easily 40-50 minutes long. I've got notes about each topic that I tried to clean up to result in the most condensed version possible. I get them as close to 20 minutes or less if I can, and Josh and Zach do the same thing. So we actually try to make these videos as short as we can make them. But following on from that, DS Lily talks about terrible information and how that can create drama, like when a build is considered 20% less optimal or perfect than it could be. And that's interesting as a concept because I saw this exact experience days ago in PoE 2. I was working on my mercenary and I found a lot of fun and power with the gas grenade build. I wanted to play mercenary, I saw the cluster grenade skill and wanted to lean into that as the core of the build, but as I actually started to play at early access release, it was obvious gas grenade was better. By the time I got to cluster grenade, it didn't even feel that good. But eventually in the end game, it became more and more clear that gas grenade was simply not strong enough as an option compared to other more popular builds being discussed at the time. Largely because gas grenade, the skill, was nerfed by about 40% damage at the top end. So even though I was doing well in my videos and able to clear content, people were asking me to cover a different build because it didn't seem worth investing into. So I took a look at what was popular and strong for mercenary at the time. I saw a variety of builds at that point about the lightning based crossbow setup. Aero Playing Gaming is a YouTuber and streamer who is making videos about this topic, someone who'd also recently given up the gas grenade concept. I liked his take, I liked his explanations, and I started my own setup using his guide, but I found it was overly expensive in terms of divines for me at the moment. I thought it would still work well if I toned things down back expense-wise, made different adjustments to the build, and found what worked well for me. Obviously my output wouldn't compete with his more idealistic items and optimal setup that was obviously more expensive. And even though my setup was certainly different in a variety of ways, I still got started with that setup thanks to Aero Playing Gaming. So in my video with my current setup and plans, I credited him and wanted to point people his way if they wanted a more ideal take on the build, even if it is more expensive. Aero saw that and was really nice about the crediting. He said that my budget take on the concept would actually be a lot easier for people to pick up and looks like it works well. But in the same video he talked about that, he also had someone attacking him for his build based on its single target output for pinnacle boss killing and how it wasn't good enough. Now it's crazy to me to see someone so informed and clear in his understanding like that still getting attacked by someone else who feels like their setup is just better. And despite the way they were very rude to Aero, he still talked about their build and was very kind to them, even like shouted them out, even if he felt like it left you too squishy or had that or this issue. So I found that really interesting in this context because I'd made a budget version of the popular stronger build so I could transition into it from a different build. Aero could have done exactly what this other person did to him. My build isn't technically as strong as his more expensive version, but instead he just appreciated the acknowledgement and liked what I did as a better starting point. So yeah, just a funny parallel. Aero is the type of creator that I want to support and shout out every chance that I get. He's still making great high-end content, so I want you to check him out. He's obviously ultra experienced with PoE, and I'm much more new, so I make content for newer players. But despite that, he still experienced someone kind of attacking him for his video, and here I am experiencing the same thing. So let's continue. DS Lily calls us game tourists, suggesting that we put out bad information to cash in on the hype because we don't understand anything. But at the same time, they do end the video with this text: game tourists are fine if they don't lie for views. So there's two sides to that to talk about: game tourists as a concept and lying for views. Game tourism I always viewed as people like on Twitter who whine about Ciri being the main character in Witcher 4, even though that makes complete sense, even though that should be the canon ending of Witcher 3, and that seems like what they went for, even though the books are all basically about Ciri and Geralt's just a big player in her story. Even though it makes complete sense that Ciri is the lead in The Witcher 4, people still whine about it because they've obviously never read the books or played the games. They're pretending to care about the source material to farm outrage content or whatever. That feels like tourism to me. Meanwhile, we play Path of Exile 2 every day. We've been playing since early access. Zach even had multiple times where he went to LA to play the game early, and we made many videos about Path of Exile 2 before it released, well before. I made videos about Path of Exile 1 while I was learning it. So by the way I define tourism or gaming tourism, we aren't that. But I think what DS Lily might be suggesting is that the fact that we cover different games throughout the year, rather than say sticking to one game always. For example, we cover the Monster Hunter series every big launch, every major update. We've been fans of the game series forever. Josh has literally played every single one of them. But we don't always and only make Monster Hunter videos. Does that make us game tourists for Monster Hunter? I don't think so. We just cover what we're most interested in, and usually that's when something new is in the game, such as a new release or update. It makes sense that we'll eventually take a break from PoE and talk about it more when there's a big update or relevant changes like the new classes in early access or season 1, whatever. But we absolutely are playing this game quite a lot. Then we have the topic of lying for views. Obviously, and I do mean obviously, we don't spread misinformation for gain or ever intentionally. The only reason a guide video does well and is ever received well is because the information it provides is both relevant and useful. If you were putting out bad or wrong information, you'd get feedback, trust me. The video wouldn't do well and it'd be received poorly. If I said something that's straight up wrong, which is possible, that would be my bad and I would get comments about it. Then in my next video, I'd need to talk about it, apologize, update the information, and continue to try to provide accurate info. That's what we do. I think everyone can understand that. Even DS Lily has apparently had issues with this recently. Back when we were learning how you unlock your ascendancy points in the endgame, there was a lot of wrong information being spread. DS Lily did the same thing. It happens. And I don't think DS Lily was intentionally lying for views. But, you know, based on the issues DS Lily discussed, it's also possible we're talking about titles like best X or Y topic, like best currency guide as they looked at, or best build guide or whatever it is. YouTube titles and thumbnails want to draw you in, to make you check out the video. It is incredibly common, even as outlined by DS Lily in that video, that people write stuff like best build in their titles in the hopes people will watch it. Those titles are so common for a reason because they work better than quite good we think build guide, or above average build guide, or build guide where we really tried our best. And it's not even inaccurate. If I've made the best X topic video I could, that's true. But as is well known at this point, it's the nature of YouTube. It's for the person that clicks on the video to decide whether that information was accurately good or not and useful, and then they choose to watch the next one or not. It certainly doesn't mean we're rubbing our hands together in the hopes that we successfully deceived someone. It means we worked on something and we want it to do well. I'm sure you know the feeling. DS Lily does the same thing since many of their videos are labeled similarly. For example, I had a setup where I was using XP farming and some increases to my drops while mapping. DS Lily claimed that setup is quote, poop trash for currency drops. And it's more like, yeah, it definitely could be adjusted to be more optimal specifically for drops, which is fair, but it doesn't mean my discussion about the topic will ruin the life of a new player, of course not. And that's where we get particularly silly now. DS Lily stated that we quote, probably have made thousands of people stop playing the game because people were following our information, which is wrong and misleading. And I guess I think that's really bad faith. Like, let's talk about misleading information. DS Lily said we encourage bad trading etiquette in my currency farm video. One topic I talk about is obviously trading and what to do if you don't know how to price an item. My suggestion was this: just list it and do your best guess. If you don't get really any whispers, you probably priced it too high, so you want to lower it until eventually you do get offers. Then vice versa. If you listed it too low, you'll get a lot of whispers suddenly, and now you know you need to raise the price a little bit because you probably listed it too cheap. Now from this experience, you want to work out why the item was listed too expensive or too cheap and gain experience. With that, you'll be better at listing items for accurate prices in the future from the start. But then, amazingly, DS Lily goes on to suggest almost exactly what I said in the video, as though I didn't say it in the video. And it comes off like you didn't really listen to what I had to say and just assumed what was said. Another example was said that we say weird things and then contradict them later. Obviously, I'm not sure where I've done that or any of us have done that. But obviously, we weren't given an example, so I can't really talk about it. But one example of a weird thing was in regards to, say, when I talked about the breach mechanic. I suggested that when clearing breaches, I like to clear the main pack around the center where it's most dense, and then as soon as it slows down, I go out in a direction. If the layout of the dungeon leads to like a dead end or the density slows down, I'll turn back and push a different hallway to try to maintain that density. And it seems again like that wasn't listened to and some sort of assumption was made. Finally, the only other thing I can talk about was a brief reference to the ascendancy rankings video that Zach made. DS Lily stated that it's not as bad as expected, but how we go about it isn't something they agree with, stating that the video is based off ladder rankings, which isn't a fair way to judge build strength. Maybe it's a fair take, but it is a video based on build power tied to ladder rankings as an initial way to gauge things. Maybe it's not 100% accurate to build power overall, but it's still the topic of discussion. In the end then, that's the topics that DS Lily brought up, alongside some pretty big claims that obviously we disagree with. It was said at the end of the video that game tourists are fine if they don't lie for views. I don't know that we're game tourists, but I do know that we don't intentionally lie for views. So I hope I've covered that. I hope that it was just a misunderstanding. I've never made a video like this before, and I don't plan to again. If I leave you with anything, let me just say again, do not attack DS Lily over this. We're just going to move on. If we're disliked by another creator, it sucks, but people can dislike who they want. It's just unfortunate that with this case, a large amount of people from that community came over, disliked our videos, left a lot of nasty comments, so we need to say something. But you know, we've also had quite a few people come over and look at what was being claimed and didn't find it. Dexy Kai was one of those here, who because of all of this, watched our videos and found that it is useful for new players, which is the point. I'm happy to say that it looks like Dexy Kai makes videos too, so if you want to go spread some support instead of hate, let's do that. We're going to continue to make videos dedicated to the topics we think are relevant and useful at the time, as new players, for new players. We know a lot of what we make is appreciated, and that's all that really matters. I'll have been showing a wall of positive comments we got while this has been going on throughout the video, so let's just leave it at that. For now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you for watching, see you next time.